Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wolters Kluwer Smarter CA webinar series, How to Take the Right Decision on Your CA Firm's Technology Investment. Today, we have with us Mr. Sagar Ahuja and Mr. Ankit Goyal as our speakers. I now request Mr. Chris Agarwala, VP for Tax and Accounting Division at Wolters Kluwer, to take over, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And really appreciate you all making the time to join us in our webinar, which I think is a very pertinent question in these days, which is how to take the right decisions on your CA firm's technology investments. So if Prasoon, you can share the presentation. I think first of all, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Wolters Kluwer. And as you know, Wolters Kluwer is nearly a 200-year-old company. We've been in the tax and accounting business for over 100 years under the brand name CCH. And we take a lot of pride in being able to deliver solutions to tax and accounting professionals globally. And in particular in India, I think we've been around for over a decade. And I'm proud to say that we are probably the only MNC which has such a deep focus in the Indian tax and accounting market. And of course, in the practice management arena, we are the #1 player, including a lot of the top accounting firms who are our clients. And we have two of our esteemed clients who will also be sharing with you their journey as they took, thought about how to invest in the right technology. So if you can go to the next slide, Prasoon. So I think we talked about this, I think, as we said, over 100 years, tax and accounting. So coming to our flagship product for practice management, which is called CCH iFirm. Some of you may have come across it. Some of you may not have. I think what's very interesting is as this pandemic has rolled out, and even before this, the concept of remote working, work from home, being able to be online, mobile is something that's really caught on. And I think somebody said it right when they said what we were expecting in 2 years has happened in the last 2 weeks in terms of technology adoption. So we are seeing cloud-based adoption being significantly adopted by a lot of people across different industry spectrums. And our product is something which can help you and your CA firm deploy this to manage your workflow. So what does that mean? I think that means that using technology to enable to you to deliver more to your clients, ability for you to get more business from the contacts you have, ability to be able to manage invoicing and AR so you have no leakage of revenue, managing your workflow, balance, and your resources. You can manage this across from your laptop, your iPad, or your mobile. You can keep track of your billable hours. You're able to interact with your customers. You're able to store data. You're able to track jobs and obviously monitor staff productivity, which is even harder now that everybody is working remotely. And this is something which really enables you to be able to work in the current environment, which we foresee will change the way we work, not only till hopefully we have the COVID vaccine, but even going forward. We are hearing that more and more people now are seeing the benefits of being able to work from home, working remotely, and I think that's a phenomena that will continue. The next slide, please. So I think what does CCH iFirm bring to you? So I think one of the key few things, and those are our differentiators. We talked about working from anywhere. We talked about our client portal, which is a module we could take to be able to interact with clients and store data securely. I think security is also becoming very important with the kind of cyber attacks and hacking that is taking place. And the good thing is we offer a GDPR compliant, which is the highest world-class security methods to be able to secure your data and be able to share that with clients as well with our audit trail, as well as using our document management system module to be able to store this data, which is largely unlimited in the cloud for you to be able to access it by client and by job, so that when you need the data, it's always available to you. And what we do in India in particular is offer a lot of on-site support. This includes obviously right now online support, but we have our sales and implementation and support teams across all the major cities in India, which are our direct teams, and we take a lot of pride in our direct model. And our focus is to be able to share with you user adoption statistics, dashboards, as well as be able to help you drive this process within your teams, because it is change management as well, and you'll hear more from our esteemed panelists on the same. So I think that's where I'll sign off and hand over to Prasoon, who is our Senior Sales Manager for iFirm and for the tax and accounting digital team. He'll walk you through some of the key parameters that you should look at when evaluating this business. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Chris, for the wonderful introduction and setting the momentum right for the webinar. So I'll be quickly talking about the parameters and the factors that an organization should decide before they sail to their automation journey, as well as in terms of defining their technology partner. So here are what based on our experience over the years, interacting with a lot of leaders, a lot of decision makers and all, we have listed down few of the key parameters. So it's very important when we, decide to start our software journey as an organization. It's important to have a vision and a strategy. So it's not only we would be moving ahead and selecting a software. Rather, we would be tying up with a technology partner, which gradually will become our business partner and would be an equal shareholder in terms of our growth ahead. So a few of the questions that a firm, which we have often seen on few cases, it get missed while the vision and the strategy are prepared, are like, what are the competitive advantage a firm has, and what are the competitors are doing in terms of technology adoption, in terms of their growth, and what we are missing in terms of the technology that we are using today, how well we can use the technology to move ahead, and what our growth plan in terms of next 3 years or 5 years plan. Is it we want to grow substantially, we want to do some merger and acquisitions? So all those plans and vision needs to be defined before we go and set a software journey in terms of adopting the right solution for us. Now once that strategy is set, then we should start with our initial planning in terms of analyzing our needs. What are the core needs, or you can say the pain points that we have seen that a few of the decision makers, when they start the journey, they very well jot down. It's very clear in their mind that these are the points where it's the business challenge for us right now. If we can fix or fine tune this, it would certainly going to increase our revenue. It would streamline our efficiency as well as quality of the work that we are doing today. That's a very key important factor. And next, once that is defined, the initial planning, we then go and define the scope of the project. We specify the requirement, we jot it down, because without getting things documented, without preparing a project scope, it would be difficult. We would just be like in any aimless ship without a rudder in the midst of the sea. So it is very important, and we often seen that these are the factors which is missed. And on few cases, we have seen a few of the partners, few of the decision makers, whereas they have documented very well, and then it helps them, get a better solution for the organization. So after that, the project is defined, then it is very important and pertinent to do a thorough research on what are the available products which meets the project scope which they have prepared. And they need to shortlist based on a research with some data and backup to it, where they can quantitatively measure that these are the softwares, or these are the solution providers that they have opted to evaluate, and these are the prime reasons to it. So it should have a valid reason that why they're out of many in the portfolio, we have picked this 3 to evaluate. We then go ahead and have to stabilize budget so that we understand what would be the expenses that would come, and also simultaneously we also measure the budget with the ROI, what it would bring. So it is very important that we establish a budget beforehand, so that it becomes easy for us once we and we are aware that what is the investment that is going to happen once we start our evaluation journey. Now, once a budget is established, and then we go and evaluate and shortlist the vendor through different due diligence that we have to do. So we of course take demos. After the demos, we do some ref checking and all, and then we also do some test and trial in case it's required. So once we do that, then we come to the cost benefit analysis, where we try and understand that whatever budget that we have set and whatever ROI that we are trying to achieve out of it, whether it is meeting, and how long it would take, the timeline. What are the key factors which we fine tune would immediately, solve and meet this criteria. So those are very important points which, the firm has to pick while defining their software journey. So once all these are set, then it is very important that we also define a timeline and milestone for the selection process. Because often we have seen many firms, they get excited when they understand that there is a core problem and they need a solution or an automation to fix that problem, and it would increase their efficiency. But what it happens over the time when we start evaluating, if it is not in a structured process, they keep the eagerness or to bring down technology into the firm start diminishing. As we have seen, we all are aware that the law of marginal utility. So when there is a hunger, of course, there are more curb to have something, right? So it immediately comes to the mind, but the decision maker, the partners, they get so tied up into their daily activities and all. If it is not structured, not processed, it keeps on diminishing, and we keep on delaying things over the time. And we have many a times we have seen, we go and meet, we understand where they agree that, okay, this is the right solution, but then the decision keeps on delaying. And then one fine day when things get all tied up or everything gets stuck, then they decide, okay, then this is the time again we should go and reevaluate. By then that time, it becomes quite late in terms of not meeting some business challenges. So it is very important to set a timeline and a milestones that by this time we would be evaluating this, and we would be achieving by this time the evaluation process. When we then do the due diligence, we should keep in mind both technically and financially. As we said, we need to establish a budget. At the same time, we also need to see that with this budget, what we are going to bring on table for us, for our resources, for our organization. So technically, whatever we are finding a challenge in terms of the business strategy, in terms of making some business decisions, if we don't have the vision and clarity, if a solution can bring it, and if we can grow by 2x or 3x, it is very important to measure the technical part as well as the financial part. So once we do that, we then keep on doing the documentation as well. So we would be, we should have a framework where we do a weightage kind of a thing, which I would show you in the next screen. I would show you a sample where, the parameters would definitely depend on firm to firm, on partner to partner, and of course on technology to technology. So it would totally at your discretion what are the pointers. We would just set you with a, a work frame as well. So in the documentation, you would set, when you do the due diligence, you would evaluate different kind of technology during your due diligence process, where you list it down, and based on some quantitative analysis, you then come to a conclusion through that document when you go ahead and mid down finally with all the stakeholders, and you communicate that, hey, out of this many that we have evaluated, we find this is the right bet because of so and so reason. So you have something in place, and then you have documented, which will then help you once you move ahead, once you adopt the technology and move ahead into the journey, which we'll be talking about in the next part. And once everything is done, then we select the vendor. And we have to keep in mind when we select a technology and a technology partner that no solution would fit all our requirements. So we need to critically analyze that, which are the key thing which is a road blocker for us. Without that, we cannot move. A few of the things we can put it aside as well. If it's not a road blocker, it's not a business challenge that is solving, but it's good to have. And in the way journey, we can definitely fine tune that as well and get. So that's very important, because it would not, fit all our requirement. It might not fit all our requirement. If it fits, of course, it's a plus point for all of us. But many a times we have seen that, because of the dilemma in the mind that it's not fitting all the requirements, these are some of the things, and we keep on delaying the things, and we keep on losing on many things because of that. So it is very critical that we understand what are the major pointers, what are the minor pointers. Major pointers we need to solve immediately, and this is why we require. Minor pointers are good to have. We can live with it, and in the days to come, we can fine tune once we solve these major problems. So that needs to be kept in mind during the communication process. So once the selection is done, you then close it with a timeline that has been set, and you will get ready to take off with the technology. So our speaker, Mr. Sagar Ahuja, would be talking about their journey uh, when they sailed through automation process and would share his thoughts and experience. So it's over to you, Sagarji. I'll just give you the control.
One second, I'm trying to open the presentation, which is missing from here. One second, sorry about that. Prasun, could you confirm that you can see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Uh, Prasun, on the lighter side, when we took the software, to be honest, you didn't go through all the details which you just did. But thank you for that. It was quite informative. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's quite informative. Thank you for that. Anyway, so thank you everyone for joining in for this webinar. As a way of quick introduction, my name is Sagar Ahuja, as you can see here, and I am currently heading the Finance and Accounts Outsourcing Division of St. Martin. I'm a qualified chartered accountant, and I did my master's also long time back. So in the interest of time, I'll be moving on quickly to the agenda for the day today. First and foremost, I would like to, and I'm sure you would have gauged it by now, that I'll be covering up the St. Martin's journey while picking up a practice management solution for ourselves, such as CCH. I'll be touching upon the points, what are the pain points which we had, business challenges that we were facing, and how we were able to overcome that. Apart from this, I think it would be interesting for you also to know that what we do, and as an outsourcing experts providing services to accounting firms abroad, it brings in a lot of experience that we have learned in the last 20-22 years, and it would also provide you the linkage that if you're recommending something, why we are recommending that, and why we think a practice management solution is a starting step towards automation. And this will obviously be, depending upon your choice. CCHI firm is definitely something which we liked. Apart from this, the third thing is automation trends, what's happening in international accounting space. The reason I want to touch upon that, because I believe it's probably a lot of people over there would also believe, the audience, that what happens in the developed countries, I mean, in accounting industry or maybe other industry, sooner or later happens in India also. Yeah. So to give you an example, in the last 7 to 8 years, we have been witnessing absolute outburst of cloud computing in international accounting space, be UK, US, Australia, and so on and so forth. All the accounting firms practically are on the cloud for their accounting needs, for their billing needs, for other processing needs also, which brings me to this point that if it is happening over there, will obviously happen in India. And I see that QuickBooks has already launched their cloud version in Indian market. CCH, we are talking about that today. They have also made a mark. So these things are obviously happening. It happens a bit later, but it definitely happens. Apart from this, even if you look at industries which are not accounting per se, if you look at car manufacturing companies, so to give you an example, when I went to UK in 2001 to, for my further studies, I saw variety of car brands there, from Jags of the world to Range Rovers to Ferrari and whatnot. And that point of time in India, it was practically, you had Maruti, and only Maruti. So yeah, you had other brands like Hyundai did come in, Daewoo did come in, but they were not the dominant players. And at the moment, if you see, you have all these brands in India. We are spoiled for the choices. And quite funnily, to be honest, I was talking to my wife the other day, and I said, I know you want to buy a car. Which one do you want to buy? And she said, MG Kia. In my head, I was clear that they are two different brands and which car she wants, but you cannot argue with wife. So my point is, we are spoiled for the choices now. Sooner or later, it comes to that stage. So we'll be touching upon that also. Anyway, so what we do at San Martin. So at San Martin, we provide high-end accounting and tax solutions to accounting firms in USA, Canada, UK, Australia, and other countries. These processes and the services that we provide, they really sit high in the value chain. It's not just the punching of accounting that we do, but we do compliance services, we do high-end corporate tax also. At the same time, we deal with HMRC in the UK, we deal with IRS also in the US. So these services are really sitting high in the value chain in summary. And we have been doing it for the last 22 years now. Yeah, it's 98 when we started off on the outsourcing side. Before that, obviously, we had a very successful outsourcing accounting practice as well. But at the moment, we have been providing services to 200 plus accounting firm across the globe, which I think should be able to give you a bit of signal that the length and breadth of experience that we have while providing services to accounting firm abroad. We have seen the processes, what they use, what document management solution that they use, what practice management solution that they use, what's production and processing software that they have, and what practices in general that they follow to be on the forefront of the accounting world. And to be honest, we have imbibed a lot of them. So as a outsourcing unit, we have been always on the forefront of technology, but with our alliance with companies who are already much, much more ahead in the developed countries, that has helped us a lot to be automated, to be somebody that we could be really proud of. So that's a small background about us. Apart from that, we've got a team of about 350 plus people spanned in our different offices in India, 4 offices. One is in Gurgaon, one is in Mumbai, two is in Noida. And we are obviously one of the longest established outsourcing service provider. And we have been accredited by ACCA UK and CP Australia also, which is one of the very rare combination that you could find with any outsourcing company all over the world. And we have been covered up extensively by variety of accounting magazines and journals about our outsourcing capabilities, which goes on to prove the fact, the kind of reputation we have in the industry. So in summary, we have the expertise and the experience to provide services to accounting practices abroad. So that was the quick background about us. Moving on to the trends which is happening in international accounting space in terms of automation. So here my point is, and I'm going to repeat that back again to jig the memory, that I believe assertively that what happens in the developed countries sooner or later happens in India. I've been there, I've seen it, and a lot of, I'm sure you guys will be able to relate to it. Now, here I'm not going to give you the theoretical or scholar's view of why you should be having automation in your practice and what this research says. I would like to be honest, go a bit more granular here, because I believe that I'm talking to accountants here who would be able to understand what's happening on the accounting side overseas when I give you the example. So these examples are very pertinent to the current climate, the business climate that we have, especially in those developed countries that I'm talking about. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to, have some takeaways and see to it whether it suits your practice or not, or whether the time is right or not, or whenever the time is right, you could obviously explore that further. So first and foremost, when I'm getting on to the examples here of what developed practices in those countries are doing. Now, I want to ask a question, and I know I'm not going to get the answer, but do you think currently that your business could survive without emails? So I know the answer would be 90% plus of the practices or the partners would say, no, we cannot survive without emails, because it's part and parcel of our business and it's very much integrated to all the processes that we do. I understand that, and there are no two ways about it at the moment. I get that. But I would like to tell you, as per the recent research which has been done, and which says clearly that 19% of email usage has gotten down in the age group of 25 to 35 in 2019. And the expert opinion is that it will further go down by about 40% in the next 4 to 5 years, which includes to the fact or probably begs the question, why is it happening? Why such a technological change, especially with emails, which has become such an integral part of our process, the way we execute business, all emails, to be honest. But the fact is, the organizations in the developed countries or accounting firms for that matter, they are using better tools than emails like Slack. I gave you example here, who is eliminating the need to have those emails at all. It's gone absolutely. Just to add there, if you come to think of it, Outlook was written in 95, 96 by Microsoft. And if you think a bit harder, you would realize that Outlook has stayed pretty much same. It did not change much. Yes, on the periphery, you've got better rules now. You've got folders that can be created, better finding features, etc., etc. But it has stayed same. But if you see the competition when it comes to like maybe Facebook, you have Messenger, which has come up. You have Apple phone, you would see iMessaging, and so on and so forth. So the competition is changing the landscape completely. And if you come to think of it again, 6, 7 years back, if I would have asked you that, do you think you can survive without SMSs on the phone? You would have said no. I mean, SMSs are, again, very important feature when you're using the mobile phone. But now do we use it? We don't use it because WhatsApp has pretty much taken over the complete demography all across the geography that we are talking about. It could be whatever other countries, including India. So my point here is this, that these technological changes are happening at a very fast pace. It's happening already over there, and we've got to be prepared for that. So that's number one example. Number two is just going a bit granular here. So in India, most of the firms, I understand that when it comes to bank statements, when it comes to invoice posting, we have a software, maybe Tally. The bank statement comes from the client, the invoices come from the client, we punch it into the software. Yeah. Now, in UK market, for example, with accounting practices, we don't do that anymore. We do not have any punching happening. For example, in case of bank, have the internet banking, which is linked with the account processing software, and we have got an add-on and in between, which means that when it is linked, the internet banking and your accounting software with the add-on in between, so whatever that you do in your banking transaction, everything comes into the bookkeeping software like Tally automatically without any human intervention. Yeah, that's the reality today. Even with invoice processing or voice punching, what we do typically in India when we have the purchase invoices coming in from supplier, we would see, okay, which supplier, the kind of expense, what is the VAT, what is the GST, and so on and so forth. Over there, once you scan the invoices, it is again scanned by the bookkeeping software, which is very, very smart, and you're able, and the bookkeeping software is able to put those figures into the software automatically again. So the kind of supplier, software knows it. The kind of expense, software knows it. The amount, obviously, that's been picked up. The GST amount / VAT amount, that's also been picked up. So it's done automatically without any human intervention again. So that kind of technology piece these guys are already working on. I could go on and sort of give you more examples here, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to jump through that. They have paperless offices. There are clients which we have where they do not accept any shoebox client. They say clearly that you are my client, I appreciate that, but I'm a paperless practice. Whatever documents that you have, please scan it and upload it on Dropbox or any other software for document exchange purposes that they may be used, like CCH also has. So this is what they do. Even the compliance notes, where when you do the financial statement preparation in India, you spend a lot of time, or your guys in the office would be spending a lot of time on making notes to the accounts, like going concern, related party disclosure, financial operating lease, so on and so forth. These notes are also automated to a great extent in these countries, because the human capital is very expensive there. I mean, it's given, but at the same time, because it's getting automated, it becomes easier to execute, and they focus on high value activities at the same time. Which brings me to my last point. Practice management software is something that we have seen all across all these countries. They would compulsorily have it It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And without these things, they obviously cannot survive. So my point here is, by giving you those examples, what I'm trying to say is that the very basic necessity is obviously to have practice management software, but those examples which I gave you before should link to the fact that if these changes will come to India, which it will, then are we ready or not? If we are not ready, then obviously that's not going to help us. Apart from this, going to the second point which I have here, for the research also, as per the Forbes 2020-21, the tasks which we do manually will be all getting automated. Yeah, so I think that gives another signal that why we should be focusing upon automation. Apart from this, future workforce and clients. So when I was giving you example of death of emails, the age group of 25 to 35, essentially we call them millennials. So these are the guys who would define the future of any business, be it accounting or any other IT industry for that matter, because these are the people who will become future leaders. They are the people who would become future staff members also in a way, and future clients also. So for us, it's very important to realize that these guys are embracing technology very, very fast. And if we are not the firm who is technically competent and we are practice of the future, these guys, they may not be interested. They would go for a better choice. It could be your staff member, it could be your clients also. So it's important that we take up that automation bit at the right time. So that was why I think we need a change. Apart from this, St. Martin's journey with CCH, I'll cover up now. So to set the background here before I start, why we chose practice management solution for our company. So I hope and I'm sure I'm talking to senior people here, and they would realize that for any company who is growing at a very fast pace, there are obvious business challenges that they would face, because every company will strive for a better profitability, better growth, and become a better organization. And if you are witnessing that, obviously you would face challenges. So we had a fair share of challenges at the same time. We were growing obviously at a very fast pace. And though we were very, very, competent in terms of technology side from day one, part of the reason is, of course, our CEO, Mr. Goyal, is also a techno-savvy person at the same time. But again, there are legacy processes where you have different processes, like you have got marketing, you've got sales, you've got staff, you've got billing of the staff, you've got clients. They were tracked on different applications, which becomes very difficult because it's all disconnected. You're not able to get the information on a click of a button, because you struggle to get that. You have to have people working on different reports to get something out. So we had those kind of challenges, which we knew that if we want to become bigger, we need to think bigger also. And to give you an example here, if you look at Fortune 500 companies or bigger giants, they have state-of-the-art information system in place, in the sense you will have an absolute ERPs which will connect your marketing department, sales department, manufacturing department, retail, and so on and so forth on a single platform. And it becomes easy for them to manage the information, get the right reports out, and run the organization overall. So when we saw a practice management solution, we were talking to other guys, but when we were looking at it, obviously we were looking at a mini ERP, which could help us to manage our business, which could give us, a robust MIS reporting for staff utilization, for jobs tracking, what's happening with the billing, what's happening with the receivables, what's the client's status, in terms of satisfaction, in terms of deliverables, and so on and so forth. So CCH obviously proved pivotal there, and it could fulfill most of the requirements which we had. Apart from this, better controlling and visibility, which again is a connected point to the previous one. So as a partner and senior people, you would realize that for you to be able to grow the organization, it's important that you delegate. But one of the devils of the delegation is that you have to have the right control also in place, otherwise things that do not happen automatically. So we saw in CCH that we had a very good exceptional reporting tool. So for example, if you have right controls in your organization, that a person is supposed to build this much of hours in a month, or if a person is going to be that much efficient, and so on and so forth. You should be able to take out the exceptional reporting from the software, which will help you to control it. So you delegate, that's fine, but are you able to control that? So if you're able to control it by click of a button, take out the right report, it solves the purpose. So I'm giving one example of having a productivity target. It could be another example of having a turnaround time target. It could be receivable target. So everything was pretty much possible, and you could obviously define that depending upon the position of the person who you want the performance to come from. So that was available. That was a pain for us, but yes, when we saw the demo, we could see that it's available. Revenue leakage and timely billing, I'm sure it's going to be a favorite point for everyone. At least it's mine. I realize that when you have disaggregated processes, you have production or time tracking happening on one software of the employees, and then you've got billing happening on another software. Because they do not talk to each other, there is always a chance that you may miss out the billing. And I always say in the staff meetings also that if you're relying upon Excel and your memory to trigger the billing, that means you're going absolutely wrong. The system should be robust enough to tell you that you have to bill this, it's been pending. So the beauty which we found in the software was that you enter a client into the software or a job into the software, and because the security of the users are defined in such a manner that nobody can delete it, so as a result, whatever that goes in the system, till the time it's not built, it's going to stay there. So that was a deal maker for us, to be honest, because we knew that we may be missing out on few jobs here and there, which obviously affects the complete top line of the business, and nobody would want that. Apart from that, legacy issue was one of the pain points which we had, in the sense we were on the forefront of technology, but they were disaggregated. For every other pieces of the puzzle, we had a different mechanism. So for clients, chasing, we had, or clients sort of, information, we had SharePoint platform. For time tracking of the employees, we had another software which was developed by us 15-20 years back. And for billing, we had another platform. So it wasn't connected. It was working well on its own, but when you grow, you need something which is connected completely. So that was the issue that we were facing. Streamlined workflow was expected, that when you're assigning the work to a junior level guy, it should flow automatically to manager, from manager to partner, and so on and so forth. So we had it, but obviously CCH made it easier for us. So these were the major pain points which we had, and how they turned into bottlenecks. I'll be very quick here. So, when you do not have the right system in place, in the sense it's not connected overall, then you will see the rippling effect, the cascading effect on client delivery. So in our line of business, or even for anyone for that matter, you have service level agreements which are agreed with the client, like productivity, like timeliness, like accuracy. Yeah. So when they start getting hit, you have to improve the overall system. So that's where we decided that, it's important for us to have something which gives a bird's eye overview of what's happening with the job, so that managers could control it. And exception reporting, as I said before, could come to the senior level also. It brings me to my second point, performance measurement. It's performance measurement, as I believe it's one of the cornerstones for any organization that would want to grow. Yeah, if you do not have the right performance measurement tool in place, the people who are exemplifying with their better performances, good performances, if they are lagged out, then obviously it's not going to help, because they would ultimately leave. So if the performance measurement is done by a good practice management solution, it helps to reward the right guys, not the wrong guys, because at times it's he said, who said, nobody knows who said. But it's important to have the right tool there, in the sense of practice management solution, which would provide you the numbers also on which you can base the decision. Attrition is pretty much linked to my previous point, that if you do not have the right performance measurement in place, attrition becomes a bit of pain point, and obviously it hits the business really, really bad, because in our line of business, human capital is the only asset which we have. Without them, you simply cannot survive. Good guys, good service, bad guys, super bad services. Yeah. Apart from this, the pain points are really client coordination, team efficiency, and follow-ups of the client at the right time. So it was possible through a good practice management solution, which we realized after looking at the demos. For accountants, I know it's a very interesting question because we think about cost too much. But for us, to be honest, it wasn't about the cost. We were definitely looking to invest into the right practice management solution, which could, bring in the productivity, which would bring in the efficiencies in the organization overall. Because it's the end of the day, if you want to get to a good profitable stage, or maybe you would be selling at a very very high speed and you are churning numbers in terms of top line, but if you do not have the right control, the productivity and efficiency, it will not survive in the longer run. But in any case, we knew it that we have to have the right tool in place. So the way you look at it, how it can pay back quicker, obviously that's if there's better efficiency in the team, it's a better return on investment that you get. And apart from this, every organization have idle resources, but if you allocate the work correctly with the right platform in the form of practice management solution, it definitely helps to get the billing ticking, to get the utilization going up at the same time. Missing bills is my favorite point. I know with Excel sheets, with memory triggers, which talks the billing department, it doesn't help. You have to have the right system in place to be able to bill the clients. Otherwise, all the hard work goes into vain, which nobody wants. We also realize that better and timely billing is one of the other advantages, the byproduct, because if it is visible in the system in the click of a button, you're able to sort of get it done quicker. And I also like the tool on the homepage at a partner level position. You could always define that the widgets, as I call it, that if you're interested into the billing receivables, when it was done, and so on and so forth, those features are available, which helps you to get the money quicker. You save on interest also, so that's pretty good there. Cultural change, I think it's a first good step to get automated. The C is huge. When I gave you example, I'm sure you would have been able to gauge it. But I think it's a good first step to begin with. Apart from this, why CCH iFirm? I think for us the choice was quite natural because in the last 22 years, when I gave you example that we have been providing services to firms abroad, CCH, Wolters Kluwer, they have been on the forefront of technology. And as a reputed firm, as established firm, nobody wants to burn their finger with a player who may not live up to their side of the deal. So we were impressed, obviously, that they had operations in 40 countries. We saw their performance because as an outsourcing company, we have been working on CCH for such a long time that we had that confidence. We also like the fact that in the initial part of the meeting that the sales guys, they come along with the dedicated account manager who knows the technical side of things. So at times it's important to get both view. Sales guys are good in terms of explaining the ROI side of things, but we would like to also talk to accounting, not account, but the technical side of the software also. So that was possible until date. I think Rajneesh, Prasoon, they are doing a good job there for us. Apart from this, software is user friendly for sure. I like the fact that they have a very robust development team, which is probably sitting in New Zealand and Australia. And only 2-3 days back, we had another demo of new features which has come in. So again, with companies like CCH, it's given that these features will fall in place. Whatever that you ask, sooner or later, that will come to you. Last point, to be honest, from my side is data security, because we deal with foreign accounting firms where security is, absolutely paramount before anything. Yeah, so they do not deal with anyone who is, not having the right certification, who do not have the right providers. So especially with GDPR also coming into the Europe, the liabilities are out of the world, to be honest. A single litigation could potentially throw you out of the business. So we had to have a provider who is GDPR compliant, somebody who could help us to get those things sorted. So that's pretty much it from my side. So in summary, I think what I'm trying to say is in foreign companies, obviously, or foreign accounting firms, the changes are obviously way too large. But I think a good first step is to ensure that you have the right practice management solution in place at this point of time. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass on the controls to, should I pass it on to Prasum, you back again?
Yes, Sagarji, you can pass on to me.
Just 1 second. Sorry, it's the icon for the Citrix has gone out for some reason. Is it possible for Deha or
Okay, I can share the screen now.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sagarji, for for the powerful insight and experience that you have gone through while during your evaluation journey. It was really wonderful, and I have a firm belief that all the audience today have also got a very powerful insight, which will help them to further, move ahead in their journey in terms of automation. And I would also like to share that you reminded me, of those days when we sat for a lot of meetings during the evaluation process, me along with my colleague Rajneesh, where it was totally based on the parameters. It was very clear in the evaluation process that what actually you need, and which was really wonderful. And that's what we were trying to cover up during this webinar in the first part, that what are the parameters and the factors that a firm and an organization and the decision makers there should set right so that they get the right solution to whatever solution they are looking for. So I'll quickly pick up where I left the discussion last. So just to give you a glimpse of last time, as I said, that there are a few weightage points which are given. So we have given a rough framework for decision makers and organization to understand when they evaluate. So vendor reputation is very much important because it gives you that their presence, their dominance. Because if you're not best, you cannot survive. It's as simple as that. It's okay to be joining hands with a new one or anyone, but what I'm trying to say here is you need to do good to sustain in the market for in the longer run. That we all know, being in the business industry, right? It's only the best breed that sustain in the longer run. So it is very important to check the vendor reputation, what they did and what they are doing, so that you are in the safer hands. As Sagarji rightly mentioned, that we don't want to burn the fingers, right? So another paramount factor is, of course, security, because we are all, most of that in this here, we are all from the service industry, and data is a gold mine for us. That what we get over the years, and that what takes us ahead. So it is very important to have a security in place. So you can give the weightage as per your criteria when you do the evaluation, and then of course the key value proposition that you are evaluating, which I mentioned, that the core key value pain points or the business challenges they are trying to solve. And the most important one, the support. So in Wolters Kluwer, we understood that whenever we sell a software, we don't just want to sell a technology to any partner or an organization and say that, hey, this is a toy that you bought and you play it yourself. No, we don't want to be like that. We are here to understand your pain points, and we want to grow together along with we. So it is very important that we, make ourselves as your business partner, because at the end of the day, if you grow, automatically we would grow. So we have that system in place, the support service. We give a human touch along with the software. We understand that technology has moved to the next era where everything is, would be automated in days to come. And that's the only solution we have, because human resources are getting, expensive. There are more tasks to do in a lesser time. So that's technology which would help you. But it's very important at the same time, where we have seen that during the process of evaluation, we often miss out as a decision maker or as an evaluation team uh, to talk about, or even at sometimes we shy to even ask about the support. We just go on technology and what are the features that would help. We go on too much of features and functionalities where we totally forget and tend to miss that what is the after support, or what kind of support that we get. So it is very important, which would be our second part of the webinar, which would be explained by our next speaker, Mr. Ankit Goel, So it is very important to have support in place. So in Wolters Kluwer, we understand we give a human support, and if you have seen that why Siri and all most of technologies where they are trying to give you a human voice, and that's the reason because human touch would always be there along with technology. And then of course evolvement is also one of the process because change is the only constant, and it is very much pertinent in terms of the software and technology industry because we have seen the technology is changing day by day, and every technology that you adopt you should ensure through a ref check, through reputation, their presence, their dominance, that they are evolving and changing. As you've seen earlier, it was there were no mobile app. We were just on the web on our systems. Now with everything is on the fly, on the move. So it is a must that one has a mobile app, and the user manual guides for that are very easily available. So these are some of the parameters which you need to set it right before you pick. And once you pick it, we would like to tell that what are the parameters we'd like to talk about real quick, that what before we hand over to the next speaker, what are the parameters or the factors that we should consider for the next phase of journey once the software is adopted. So we have planned it out how to make the decision. Now what are the measures to take or what decisions to take to make it successful and get the ROI out of it in the longer run. So here's a few of the important factors based on our experience and discussions with few of the business leaders we have jotted down for you. So it's the preparedness, the prerequisite and readiness. Once the software gets ready, you might require some data in place. You might require some infrastructure in place. You might require some team in place to implement that software, which we have found even when we go and visit to the business decision makers, based on the pain points that we are able to solve, what that's there at the top of the mind, they opt us and they shake hands with us. But when we see that there's a large gap because there was no preparedness, and few firms, they often miss out on that. And we see that there is a delay in the implementation process. And since the takeoff doesn't happen on time, the delay becomes a killer in the due course of time. And the interest start diminishing. Then it becomes very difficult again because the partners always get engaged, the team gets engaged, and then the focus shifts. So that's the reason we try and have an implementation team in place who then closely work and say that beforehand we send a welcome email, and I'll show you the structure and the framework which Wolters Kluwer follow to ensure that implementation happens on time, the preparedness are ready when someone opts us. So second comes the strategy. One needs to plan and design the implementation process. It is very important. And during this, since you have adopted a technology based on evaluation for a few hours or a few days, so it is always important when you define the plan and strategy, go back to the technology partner whom you have made your business partner in terms of technology and growing together. Go ahead and speak with them because they have been using this technology, they have been playing this technology for long, so they would help you to better design it. I'm not saying that you listen to them completely, but when you make the strategy, always discuss with them. And this is what we do a proactive kind of approach in terms of helping designing the strategy. Now, once that is done, as Sagarji rightly mentioned, that with the technology comes in place, there is a change in the culture. There might be resistance, there might be certain obstacles, or there might be some positive impact as well, but we should be prepared on that because that would take you to the longer run if it is planned well. And again, then our consultant act not as only as a training or implementation consultant, rather they also act as a change management consultant. They would share the use cases with you. And here comes an advantage to partner with a global partner, because you get some global use cases from across the countries. That what cultural, where are the countries, like what are the use cases those countries have faced, or what are the things they have fine-tuned where there was a change management going on. So that was very critical when you start implementing a technology. Then you define the project team who becomes a point of contact with the technology partner so that there is a smooth transition in terms of implementing. Then after that, we set the expectations and commitments right, because without setting the expectations that stage one we'll be doing this, because in a software there might be a multiple functionalities, as I mentioned, major, minor, and whatnot. There is no end to features and functionalities. We should be very clear in hand that within this stage we want to drive through this miles, and then to next, and then next. And then there should be a commitment and responsibility clearly defined between both the sides. So it is very important. So our consultant would help you define that. So this is, you should demand whenever you opt a technology partner. Here we are mentioning about ourselves because I being, working with all the business leaders and technology partners, but whenever you opt someone, even either it has to be us or someone else, you clearly define the expectations and commitments right. And then you set milestones, as I mentioned, that you have a checkpoint, to do a ref check that where the things are running smoothly. Then you have some quantitative data to measure it. So, for example, I'll share a use case where one of the firm was struggling. There are a lot of invoices, a lot of jobs that they were doing, which were getting missed to bill, or at least they were missed to bill timely. Because over the time there becomes a relation with the client, with their resources, and the client calls in and they said, hey, can you please update my address in my certification and all. And we, in a hurry, we do it, but we often tend to miss the bill. When during the audit, you realize that, okay, these are the jobs that we have missed to bill, right? So those, if gets controlled within certain time, or even the job due dates, if there are a job due date problem in your firm, if you can fine tune, I'm just citing a few of the examples, then you should measure that by this time we need to achieve this. Then only you would be able to get the cost benefit analysis right. So it is very important to measure your progress and achievements. And in between intervals, it should not be, when you define a technology partner, that they come and train you once and then say that, hey, moving forward, you would do this. This is the manual for the software. And this, I have given the training, and just knock our door whenever you have a problem. It should not happen. There should be a continuous audit. There should be a ref check or how the users using, how the data are getting, because the garbage in would come, garbage out would come, as we all know. You cannot make critical business decisions with wrong data. So it is very important to do an audit and get a feedback sitting with the technology vendor and saying that the technology that you have adopted is doing what you want and what you have set. So with that, you'd be able to evaluate the effectiveness and ROI. And then it is very important, once you set the journey right, once you take off, it is very important to energize, to revive, and to motivate our employees or the users of the solution, because they are the one who will be at the front side to use it and give you the result that you desired for. So it's very important to do reward and recognition. So it is very important to closely work with the consultant to identify that when is the time we should reward, on what are the parameters that we should define to reward and recognize. And then it would definitely bring a change. As I said, the cultural change that you are going to bring, these are some of the key factors which a consultant should act rather than simply giving training and all. That's very key important during the implementation journey. And then once everything is set and all the momentum gets going, then it's very important to keep yourself open in terms of learning and exploring new things. So we should keep learning from different business leaders, from the technology itself, because it will keep on evolving. Many new functionalities would come in. We should open our learning. And when all these are set, I will definitely say that it's not easy. It's not just ride in the park, for sure. It would take some of your time. It would need a better planning to do all what we have just discussed. But if all this is said, I can certainly affirm that you can take a deep breath and smile, because that what you can understand that whatever ROI or whatever growth you have thought of in terms of your vision and goals, you are certainly going to achieve, because the planning and the strategy has been set right. So this is a quick framework what we use in Wolters Kluwer whenever we go and implement a solution. We do this kickoff meeting along with the consultant and the training team, and then we go understand, do the training, handover, go live, and post adoption support, and we track down the users and share the users report to ensure that the technology they adopted is the right one and goes in the right direction. So with this, I'll be handing over to our next speaker, Mr. Ankit Goel, to share his experience and thought on what are the parameters and what their experience in AKG when they adopted technology, and how what were the things that they considered to successfully implement and get the ROI. So it's over to you, Ankit.
Thank you. And I think I'm still muted. Audible to everyone?
Yes, Ankit, you are audible.
Yes, perfect. I'll just so hello everyone, and good to be here, and thank you, Prasoon, for inviting me for that celebration to CCH.
We are not able to hear you now. It's like
Is Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now. Perfect.
Yeah, I think a minor adjustment on the microphone did the job. So yeah, should be working now perfectly good. So I was saying that thank you, Prasoon, for inviting me here and speaking to all the attendees of this today's webinar. And it's a good feeling to share your experiences with everyone, with fellow professionals. And this is what I am here for. I think we implemented CCH Wolters in our firm around 4 or 5 years back. I think Prasoon will have the numbers. I don't even remember when we implemented it. But I remember that implementation was a big decision. Implementation was done with keeping in mind a cost in terms of course, the financial cost in terms of the time that it would take for implementation of the software at our end. Any software that you implement or that any firm implements at their end also involves some time wherein you have to put in the inputs, you have to ask your employees to put in their inputs, you have to make a process maybe a little longer than the usual process that you follow in a firm, and maybe not. So I will come to that later. But the point is that you have to decide on that, and then you have to look at the benefits that you can achieve from the implementation of the software. Essentially, what we have been doing in our firm is I'll briefly tell you what our firm size is. So we are a group of 50 people with about 25 professionals, including chartered accountants and lawyers and company secretaries. This is our CA firm, and then of course we have implemented CCH Wolters now in our new insolvency entity, as well as the valuation entity. And what has happened is the key idea behind implementing CCH Wolters was to have a robust system which is available 24/7. Number one, and number two, so that we can bring accountability to the employee's time, because in any professional firm, including ours, the problem was that how do you monitor the work which is being done by the people, especially in case you want to have a delegated practice. So in our firm, what is the structure is that yes, there are senior partners, there are partners, and then of course there are relationship managers who are actively dealing with clients and who are responsible for delivering the deliverables and making sure that everything is done in time. Now, one part of that is ensured by simply allocating the duties. That is, whatever you give somebody a duty, if you give somebody a duty, then that duty has to be completed by that person. And over time, you come to know in case that person is fulfilling his duties or not. But what happens is that at many times you feel that the people who are working under those responsible relationship managers are not are kindly maybe using their time for not for work, maybe using their time inefficiently, maybe trying to find a way out. So bureaucracy kind of tries to slowly steps in. The time that is spent by some people on a particular job continues to increase, primarily because there is a sense of no responsibility or little supervision. That is where CCH Walters plays a very important role, where each and every person is when they have to fill in their timesheets, and those timesheets are at the end of the day filled up in such a manner that each and every hour of that or hour of your resources is allocated to a pre-programmed, pre-configured project for a client. Like in our CA firm, we do almost everything which a CA firm, normal CA firm does. We do ROC work, we do a lot of audits, we do accounting works, accounting outsourcing for different people. We do compliances like GST, TDS. So we have designed our own template, we have designed our own system wherein we make sure that all the jobs that we do for our various clients either become a recurring jobs on the CCH platform, or we make new jobs whenever the opportunity comes in. So how do we ensure that the new jobs are created? Because we say that your timesheet has to be updated every day. So new jobs are automatically created, because if somebody has worked on a specific job, they have to put their time on that job, and therefore they're always in a hurry to create those new jobs. That's how you ensure that. Then what you ensure is that what we do is we, at the end of the month, at the end of 15 days, we check what is the job costing that is going into various jobs. So we kind of do a monthly review for our employees where we dig out their timesheets or a timesheet report, which is available from the software. We look at what job costing is allocated to various jobs by that person, and what is the total costing of that job for the firm. It frequently happens that we see that there is some job that has extremely high cost allocated to it, and at that point in time we are able to interfere, and so it kind of works like a CCTV, that nobody is perhaps looking at that camera, but the person who is sitting in the room knows that yes, there is a camera watching me. At the end of the month, if everyone knows that they will be accountable for their time, and they will have to they will have to justify high cost to a job, they will try and become more efficient on the job that they are doing, or rather avoid wasting any time, bring out more accountability. So when we implement a new software, this is a software implementation, 4Ps. It involves a process, product, parameter, project. So every firm can be different. Every firm can have different processes. The product is here. We know the product. You can take a demo from soon. You can make sure that the product has features that are of utility to you. Then parameters, once you customize and once you find the once you finalize your decision to purchase the project then product, then you have to of course look at all the customizations that are available in the software, programming it to customizing it for your own benefit. And then of course you take up the project as to how the project needs to be. So there's a transition process that starts as soon as the other things are done. So before I start, I think it's a very, very interesting quote from Neil Armstrong, that that it's one small step for a man, one giant leap for a mankind. So I think this quote is very, very relevant, because when any firm decides to implement a software, it's like a leap for the whole firm. And although the effort involved in in doing everything that it takes to implement a software might have decreased because of the ready availability of such good softwares like CCH, iFirm, but implementation is still something which will need the time of somebody responsible in your firm, and that is something that will be very, very crucial to the successful implementation of the software. Maybe that is something that I would like to talk about in detail in the later part of my presentation. When you talk about 4Ps of a business requirement analysis for software implementation, you look at requirement analysis, you look at software implementation, process analysis, product analysis. So you should do all this. I think this is a lot of jargon. I don't want to go into that. I would like to stick to some key things due to paucity of time. When you look at the process, you do a process mapping. So every organization, every firm has a process. We're not even conscious about that process sometimes. Maybe the process was never written, never documented, but every firm has its process in place. And that process might just be that, okay, there might be a process that the client gives you a job, and you do the job, and then you put it into an Excel sheet for the billing at the end of the week, or you get the billing done immediately by way of sending an email to the billing department. Or maybe the managing partner of a firm will simply ask his employees or supervise his employees through his direct physical presence in that office. So there can be multiple ways of managing processes, managing the time of your resources, managing the client jobs, managing billing of those jobs. And the idea is that when you replace it with a software like CCH iFirm, all those become a little more integrated, and they don't need to be feeded again and again. So they will certainly perhaps save time for every person who's implementing those processes. You have to identify functional roles. You have to, so in case you want to know that, yes, you have to set up a process that how will the billing be done, how will the timesheet be recorded, who will be creating those jobs on the software, which of those jobs can be created automatically through the recurring job framework, the process steps and detailed content of the process steps, highlight system related activities like what data input do you want. So when you do a transition to iFirm, so maybe Prasun will of course guide you later and detail, but point is that at that point in time, you're supposed to list out your clients. You're supposed to say that, okay, these are the jobs that I want to be made, so that you have a smoother implementation process. When you understand the product, you have to understand the product features. Why I insist on understanding the product features is that at many points in time, you don't implement the part of the product which is very crucial, or which is very important to your firm, and which might give you a lot of advantage. And so therefore it is very important to time and again seek time, go through the software options, see that you are maximizing the utilization of the software. An extensive product demo should be taken, internal and external interfaces should be checked, ancillary products should be looked into. So this beautiful system in CCH iFirm is about saving your documents along with the client job. So that kind of takes the organization of jobs at next level, and also allows you to give control to those files only to the authorized people, and that kind of really adds value to the whole process. Parameter, you have to define user rights. Who do you want to who do you want to enable to close jobs? Who do you want to enable to do the billing? So all that needs to be taken care of. Customizing the product, periodic review of the parameters, and then this is important. When you look at the project, so as I said that when you talk about ROI, I feel that any software which can help you get your manpower cost reduced will certainly add value to your firm. CCH is, of course, helping our firm in doing that by keeping a tab on the employee cost as well as keeping the tab on the employee performance, and it really helps in the whole process. But when you take this up, this project of implementing the software, you have to talk about allocating duties, you have to set up the timelines, you have to manage the transition that will happen. So some people will fear this transition. So I remember that when we implemented the software in our firm, for the first few months there were problems. Maybe not so many problems, I would say, but there were teething troubles in implementing the software, and because we had to convince our staff to, to start doing whatever they're supposed to do to implement to put everything in place. But since then there will be a problem that will come to you repeatedly, that there will be a problem that people will not fill up their timesheets, and you will have to remind them, or you will have to put that as a very important appraisal parameter, or maybe a parameter to maybe even release their salaries. I remember when I was doing my articleship with PwC, even PwC were implemented a timeshare software, and the simple policy was that in case you don't fill in the timesheet, you will not be paid your salary after a month or so. So point was that you had to fill in your timesheet, and that was very important. So then you finally implemented that linkage in our office. It has really paid off. We are able to now see almost 100% compliance with the timesheet process, and that really adds a lot of value. Then, of course, you have to go live. You have to then what I need to emphasize is that you have to use your implemented project actively, because anything that you implement, any software that you adopt, if you don't use it actively for your day-to-day activities, if in case you continue to use that Excel sheet or that other mechanism in your office or in your firm to do the billing, then you will never be able to take the best out of the software. Or in case you never see what timesheets people have filled in, they will be and one day you start looking at whatever they have filled in, your employees, you will find absolute garbage in that. You have to maintain the software by looking at it. If I give you an example of your own house, maybe your own office, in case, I remember now that, we reopened our office after lockdown, after about 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and we found out that, a lot of things had just stopped running. So, I think that happens in every place, including a software, that if you don't use something actively, it will fall out of place. People will slowly stop doing it because they will not find a reason to do it. There has to be value, constant value, which is coming out of everything, including perhaps a CCH implementation or other software at your place. Before we move further to questions, so maybe I have another small idiom. from this very interesting Greek philosopher, and this person is responsible for that famous quote of the idea that change is constant. So implementation, adopting a software will not stop you from making further improvement. You will need to change things again and again. Also, my firm has benefited from this software. And my firm might be very different from your firm. Whenever you look at the software, look at the processes that are there in your firm. Look at what all processes will get eased. Look at what all processes will be added. Look at what will be the final outcome, the benefit. Cost benefit analysis is a very important part, and that is where you need to see whether your firm has the right software to implement and what customizations are necessary at the time of implementing the software. With this, I will part off and will hand it over back to Prasun and Wolters, and maybe we can take some questions after Prasun.
Yeah, thank you, Ankit, for such a powerful insight. And I'm pretty sure that all the audience would have benefited from your thought and experiences that you've shared, and it would help them to better implement technology in their firm. Thank you once again to Sagarji as well as Ankitji. Thank you so much. So Neha, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Prasoon, and thank you so much, Mr. Ahuja and Mr. Goyal. That was really insightful. Now, we'd like our attendees to ask us any questions if they have any for us. You may either put it up on the Q&A panel or on chat, or you could also raise your hand and we could unmute you so that you could ask the question yourself. Prasoon, we can call it a wrap now. I don't think we have any questions as of now. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you very much for attending our webinar. We hope you found it useful.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Neha. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sagar.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.